just want to make a short 5 to 10 minute video to demonstrate some of the features and workflow for placing an implant and designing a surgical guide to assist in placing that implant where you plan to. Just to orient you here, this is hard tissue segmentation out of a patient CT scan, and we also have, along with that, just the teeth segmented. What I'm going to do is choose to have this display in wireframe mode, which is a little distracting, but it's also makes the computer kind of handle viewing and switching around a lot smoother. And you also may see me do this, which makes it even smoother, but is also more distracting. So the first thing I'd like to demonstrate is what I call the slice view. And that will take a 1 millimeter slice in X, Y, and Z. And it will be centered at where we've placed our 3D cursor. So this is useful for navigating around and kind of looking in different planes. And this one's oblique, you can move it around at will. But if we move, limit ourselves in each plane to move, moving around. This is a useful tool for localizing in a certain space. If we don't want to be limited to those three axes, we can take any slice we want of any thickness. For example, if we wanted to investigate the bone in the area where we want to place our implant, take a slice like this. And so on. For the moment, I'll hide this mesh, and we'll make our initial placement just based on the teeth, because we know we need to stay a certain distance away from the roots of these teeth. Alright, that's about as centered as we can get. We'll choose an implant from our library, 10 millimeter and 10 millimeter long and 3.3 diameter. It's too bad we can't get a little more narrow, because we'll see that it's a little tight in here. And we can import that implant right into our scene. And we'll also include kind of the accessory pieces with it. This will take a minute, but this will allow us to visualize the stock abutments and the angled abutments, as well as some aligners and things to help us visualize our angulation. Okay. So we can see we've just dropped it in with the apex of the implant right where we had our 3D cursor placed. So we can kind of take another slice through our region of interest, hide the teeth, take a look at the bone again. Do our best to place this like we want. See if we can limit to moving it along its own axis, perpendicular to its own axis, and things like that. So we'll just for the sake of demonstration, we'll place it there. And clearly that's a little closer to the roots of these teeth than we would like, so we'll just say for argument's sake that there is enough space there, and we'll continue on with this as an exercise. So now that we've placed this like we like it, we would want to fabricate a surgical guide which would rest securely on these teeth. We could also, at this point in time, plan a provisional restoration to go here, and then kind of balance our bone considerations and our restorative goals in the placement of this implant, but I'll save that for another demo. So these two steps are just telling the occlusal guide module which models are what. So we'll pick an insertion axis for the actual splint. We'll use a little tool to draw on the surfaces of the teeth. To estimate an occlusal plane. We'll use that to limit how much of the tooth structure our occlusal guide covers. We'll then use that same tool to make a rough outline of the guide that we want. And just for time's sake, I'll stop here. And when it's all done, we're left with our occlusal guide. And if we're not satisfied with this level of detail, we can definitely increase that. Going above this is probably useless, as it's higher than the accuracy of the scan itself. And then from this we could use the different pieces of hardware to actually subtract out a drill path, and that's exactly what was done in a case that I'll show you later. But yeah, that's the gist of it, and it makes this a relatively uniformly thick 3D model, which can be 3D printed or milled. And so there's nothing to send with the patient to get scanned in their CT scan. You go straight from software and implant planning to the surgical guide.